Now, the big news today, of course, is the recent revelations that J Street is heavily funded by Arabs and Muslims. Is this really news to the activist groups such as yourself?
Well, as we used to say back in the U.S. when I lived there, I've been living in Israel for about 2 years. What else is new? Many of us suspected that was the case. Interestingly, J Street all along refused to disclose the source of their funding, and now, of course, we know why. They are heavily funded by Arabs, Muslims, really very radical anti-Israel, anti-Semitic people. And J Street calls itself pro-Israel. Obviously, the facts are otherwise. J Street is very radical, very leftist-oriented, very anti-Semitic and anti-Israel. They call themselves pro-Israel, but their actions, their statements, and now these revelations about funding clearly show that they've been fabricating the truth all along.
So can you tell us, what is the real goal of J Street?
Well, I believe that the real goal of J Street is actually to support the destruction of Israel rather than the reverse. Rather than, they say that they're in favor of peace for Israel, but again, as I say, their statements and their actions prove to the contrary. They are a group of Americans in the United States, not a very large group by any means, and they've never disclosed their membership. But what they have done, to the great detriment of Israel, is visited with various congressmen, senators, and members of the House, and submitted very incorrect information. They try to call them facts. They're very incorrect information, and try to stir up dissension, not only in the halls of Congress, but also amongst the citizens of the United States. There are just a whole host of statements which they made, which are just wrong, just outright, flat lies. I can quote one to you, for example. Interestingly, in about 2 or 3 months ago, in the course of an article on J Street, their director stated, and let me just quote this for a moment. He said that the state of Israel, and I'm quoting now, is not yet accepted both internationally and in the Middle East, that such a state does not yet exist. And I'm quoting. Well, haven't they ever heard that Israel is a member of the United Nations, been that way since 1948, and in terms of recognition in the Middle East, well, both Egypt and Jordan have signed peace treaties with the State of Israel, recognizing the State of Israel's existence. It's true that some other more radical Arab countries have not, but to make a flat-out statement that Israel is not recognized either internationally or in the Middle East, and stating as a fact, is just an outrageous lie. I can't think of any other word to describe it.
At the end of the day, who benefits from J Street?
Well, it's obvious that the enemies of Israel are the ones who are benefiting by J Street's existence. I don't know whether there's any specific individual within the J Street organization who's also benefiting financially from this, but you know, Jews over the years have unfortunately experienced other Jews who have actually acted against the interests of the Jewish people as a whole, just to further their own interests. Just as recently as the Second World War. Unfortunately, in the concentration camps, there were Jewish kapos who were appointed by the Germans to keep the Jewish prisoners in check, with the hope that their lives would be spared, that is, the lives of the kapos. Didn't turn out that way. Most of them never made it, but they had no problem in acting as the taskmasters for the Germans. So as I say, it's not unknown in Jewish history to have these people. Doesn't make it correct, and I think that it's pretty evident that J Street and its director Ben-Ami, Jeremy Ben-Ami, seem to be fulfilling that role. It's highly unfortunate that they do so. If J Street and its supporters were truly interested in the further existence and growth of the State of Israel, there are a number of things they should be doing which they haven't done. For example, call on the Arab states to accept Israel as a Jewish state. Arabs have refused to do so. Call on the PA, Mr. Abbas, who recently again reappointed to head the PA, to enter into negotiations without preconditions to establish a true peace. They would issue a call for the international. They, being J Street, should issue a call for the international community to recognize the unity of the city of Jerusalem as the united capital of the State of Israel, not have it divided. J Street hasn't done any of these things. So J Street's interest is clearly not to support the State of Israel. It's pretty evident that its purpose is to, I think destroy is not a strong enough word, to destroy the State of Israel. Highly unfortunate.
Now, what has your organization, the AIAC, been doing to counter the efforts of J Street?
What our organization does, among other things, is to meet with various congressmen, other political figures from the United States when they are here in Israel. And as I say, we meet with them and tell them what the story is, the actual story is. And many of them accept what we say and say that, hey, why didn't anybody ever tell this to me this way before? So we think that's been a very, very strong supporting feature for the Americans in Israel. We have issued any number of press releases and held press conferences on significant issues of the day. We've called upon, for example, the Obama administration, and bear in mind we're American citizens, even though we're living in Israel. We do vote, and we also have some influence amongst many of our relatives and friends in living in the United States. And as I say, we've called upon the Obama administration to reverse its stated position with respect to a settlement freeze or construction freeze in the settlements, both in the West Bank and, of course, in Jerusalem. It turns out that the majority, overwhelming majority of both Congress and the American citizenry have views which are very similar to ours. And we believe we've had some impact in that regard. And those views, as I say, are contrary to the views of the Obama administration. We hope that those views will prevail.
Harvey Schwartz, Chairman of the AIAC, thank you very much.
Thank you.